Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. I, 22 female, am currently living in a 5-bedroom house that was previously owned by my father. I am the youngest child of a family of 8, and I really don't remember anything significant about my childhood with my 5 siblings, because they left the house before I even got the chance to think on my own. I rarely saw them, and when I say rarely, once every 5 years. My mother died when she was giving birth to me, and as my father stated, that was the time that my siblings started resenting me and my father, as they were blaming us for the death of my mother. My father was a big-shot lawyer in a firm in our city. That's why he had the means to support every one of us after my mother died. Things started to take a turn when all of them decided to leave one by one, and the 2 of us were left alone in the house. My father and I had a good relationship, and it was very evident that he really wanted to give everything that I wanted and needed, even without the presence of my mother. 4 years ago, my father was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. It was a very hard time for me because I was still a teenager back then, and I didn't know how I would help significantly for the betterment of my father's health. I tried to call all my siblings one by one, but no one even tried to visit him. It hurt my father so much because he was really expecting any of his children to show up, but in the end, they left him hanging. Months after my father's grueling battle with cancer, he eventually died. I was so heartbroken by his death because I saw how hard he tried to fight it and to continue to live for me. My heart was filled with anguish and sadness because I really felt alone while helping my father get through his disease. My siblings didn't even care to send a message, not even once. Before my father died, he told me that he left his will with his attorney, and with the help of our neighbors and some of Dad's friends, we were able to manage my father's funeral. I was a bit relieved when I saw him finally looking at peace after months of hard-fought chemotherapy. 3 days after my father's death, my siblings started to contact me. I was happy at first because this was the first time that they ever talked to me since I was a kid. They all went to the house and were all gathered in the same house for the first time in our lives. I learned a lot about their lives and how they spent each of their days far away from our family. I tried to understand their reasons for shutting us out. They told me that they have forgiven me for Mom's death, the pain that they felt. We continued talking about how Dad spent the years they weren't around. The next day, Dad's lawyer decided to contact me and my siblings one by one to ask us to meet with him. He stated that he will be reading us the will that my father left for me and my siblings. As everyone was at the house prior to our lawyer's contact, it was easy for all of us to gather. My father's lawyer then arrived, and he called all of us to a private room to talk about the will. He then revealed the content of Dad's will, and everyone was shocked by what they heard. Dad left my 5 siblings $10 each to their name and everything else to mine, but it will all be in a trust fund till I'm 21. I was surprised as well because I didn't know that Dad would do that, but I couldn't blame him. All my siblings were furious, and they were all pouring out their frustrations on me. They accused me of coercing my father to leave them out of his will. They told me I was a selfish person and that I was the one responsible for my mother's death. I received a lot of hurtful words from them, and my oldest brother even pushed me to the wall and threatened to hurt me. I started crying, and that's when Dad's lawyer stepped up and explained why my father's will was like that. They all left in a hurry, and I didn't hear anything from them all throughout the night. Just last year, as I turned 21, I got access to my full inheritance. It was a bit hard at first to manage a few properties plus a chunk of money like that, but luckily my father's lawyer helped me through it. Then a few days ago, I received a text from my oldest brother about how his oldest son, who was a rising basketball star, suffered an ACL injury and they needed money for the surgery. He needed me to pay for it in full and was basically informing me that he's going in for surgery next week, so I needed to deposit the money soon. He had also attached an account number. I didn't even bother to reply, and I blocked his new number like how I've blocked all my siblings from my contact list. Why would I help them? During the time I was there for my father during his hardships, they weren't even present, so why would I be there during theirs? Am I really the a-hole in this story? Do you agree with my decision? Update. Well, my oldest brother called, this time from another number, and basically went off at me. This happened about a week after I made the original post. He asked why I didn't make the deposit because he was waiting for it. He said I had a responsibility to care for the family because I got everything from Dad. I just hung up, to be honest. I didn't even want to waste my energy arguing with him. So that's what happened. It's been all quiet since then. You're not the a-hole, OP. Your siblings left your dad to die and yet they want his money. You stood by your dad until the very end. It makes sense that he left all his fortune to you. Their reason for not liking or not caring about you is childish. You didn't kill your mom, but they however weren't there for their father while he was fighting a battle with cancer. Invest with the money and let your dad be proud of you and his decision to entrust you with his fortune. Good luck, OP. Story 2. My wife is about 3 months pregnant, and ever since she found out she was pregnant, she's not been doing anything. She works from home, so she never has to leave the house. She's been relaxing and isn't doing anything. She's not doing any of her chores, which I don't think is a big deal. I've been doing all her chores plus doing my job, so I'm always tired. My wife has noticed how tired I've been lately and has asked for me to give her chores to my son. I don't think that's fair though. He already has his own chores. So it's not like he doesn't do anything. Her chores are things he can't even do. I'm fine with my current arrangement. My wife thinks my son should then instead help take care of her. She gave me a list full of things she needed taken care of, but doing what was on her list wouldn't be helping. It would just be becoming a maid. I don't think she needs help with this kind of stuff since it's not like she can't walk. She's been arguing with me about this kind of stuff for quite some time and it's making me feel sick. I'm trying to see if I fit her accommodations, but I still don't know. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, OP. She sounds like one of those women who think that being pregnant makes the world revolve around them, and is at risk of becoming a mother who thinks the world revolves around her just for bringing a child into the world. Entitled behavior of any kind is annoying. Unless she is having severe complications, there is no reason for her not to do any housework. Is your son an adult or older teen? Perhaps he should pick up a few extra chores not to help her, but to help you. But if he is a child, he definitely should not be forced to do an adult's share of housework. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. Your wife is the type of person who sees that she's pregnant, knows how other people are likely to react to her being pregnant, and is fully willing to exploit that to foist all of her responsibilities onto others. Don't drag your son into this toxic mindset. Teach him that everyone has responsibilities and that there is no excuse for malicious, weaponized laziness. Not the a-hole. Your wife is being a total a-hole, however, expecting people to wait on her hand and foot, and expecting a kid to do her housework. I would understand doing less, but not doing anything is about the worst thing she could have done. I mean, seriously, unless a doctor told her to not do anything, she doesn't have much of an excuse to offload all the work to you and your son. Sounds like she doesn't care about your son, by the way, if she's willing to have him act like a slave and do all the household chores. Not the a-hole. I mean to put it nicely, I think your wife needs to get off her imaginary throne, put the tiara away, and do her effing part. I've been pregnant, I've even been high risk, but that doesn't mean I expect everyone to pamper me. Not even my husband was expected to do that. Though he did kind of, but not to the extent she seems to expect. Her being pregnant doesn't mean she gets special treatment. Sorry, maybe it's a shit take, but it's just how I feel. Pregnancy does not mean she gets to abandon mundane everyday responsibility. People around her have lives too, and it's honestly ridiculous that she expects everyone to halt to satisfy her. Honestly, good luck to you and everyone in her life. You're gonna need it. Story 3. Me, 31 females, partner 32 male. Recently, my partner has moved in. I have 2 kids from a previous marriage, 13 female and 10 female. They're both self-sufficient in the way of getting their food to entertain themselves. My partner has a 13 female and 5 female. The 13 female very rarely visits, but the 5-year-old wants to. I have no problem with this. I have encouraged it a lot actually, but upon discussions, my partner feels it's fine that my kids get up with her and look after her till he gets up. I flat out told him no, it is his responsibility to get up with her and make sure she is good. Because he also refuses to discipline her if she does something wrong, he shrugs it off. The reason this came up is that I have a large pop vinyl collection and breakable stitch collection. They look like toys. And I have said I would appreciate it if he explained they're not toys for her to play with and encourage her to play in the toy room instead. His response was, she won't climb the bookcases unless she likes something on them, and I will just replace it if it means that much, but let her be a kid. I'm struggling a lot because I'm all for kids being kids, but respecting other people's property is a big thing to me. Am I the a-hole for asking that a simple rule be followed? Now for some comments. This is not free-range parenting, this is neglect. His 5-year-old won't climb bookcases unless. Why is there an unless in that sentence? Bookcases fall over all the time and crush small kids to death. There are tons of videos of this happening. Children should not be climbing bookcases ever. And your 13-year-old should not have to watch a new stepsister get crushed due to his negligence. I consider myself a free-range parent. However, the prerequisite of freedom is respect for boundaries, an understanding of right from wrong, and a willingness to self-regulate. My kids did not get any freedoms before they demonstrated they were ready for them, and the only way to earn that was by demonstrating responsibility. I used to joke that my kids were practically feral, but there's actually a very big difference between free-range and feral. Free range is not letting them do whatever they like. It's giving them freedom to be responsible for themselves and do things like cooking, cleaning, life skills, and being able to explore their environment. It's not having a helicopter parent hovering over them. It's being able to walk to their friend's house 5 blocks away at an age that a parent thinks they are responsible enough to do so. You are raising your kids in more of a free-range way, and he's just ignoring his kids.